Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing good. Tonight, I decided to work with the Cheerful Daisies again. And if you saw my post, registration is now open for my May craft box. And I also did the Cheerful Daisies, but I did it in Moody Mauve, Bubble Bath, and Wild Wheat. So these are the cards for, hey Elizabeth, my craft box this month. And I decided to use the same stamp set again, so the people who subscribe to my craft box will be able to create 2 additional cards with it. So the Delightful Daisies is a brand new stamp set. I'm just pulling the page up. So you get if you get the suite, you get your stamp set, you get the matching dies, these embellishments, and the designer series paper. I didn't use the designer series paper. I actually used new designer series paper, and it's the Zoo Crew, but on the opposite side of the Zoo Crew is all black and white designer series paper. So I wanted to do the daisies in black and white. I also use, which is pretty much my favorite die set so far, is the Countryside Corners. And I love them. And you'll notice that on this card, when you open it up, I have it framed on the, hey Kathleen, hi Margaret. I have it framed on the inside on a embossed background. And we're going to do this card last because I have to stamp and emboss and die cut so you can see how I did that. So we're going to start with this card right now. Let me just get my pieces out. Hopefully they're all here. We're going to start out with Basic Black. And this is 11 by 4 1/4. And I scored it at 5 1/2. You don't have to keep track of the measurements. I will have a PDF for you tomorrow. And it'll probably be in the morning. It's just about finished. All right. So I am going to layer this up with some basic white. Hope everybody's doing good. And this is 5 1/4 by 4. Hey, Ruth. Beautiful and 76. It's 44 here. It's freezing here. So my basic white is 5 1/4 by 4. So I am going to layer it up with a piece of the designer series paper, and I'm using the little flowers. And this would be great to color the little flowers and the leaves to change it from black and white. And this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So we're just going to adhere this right to this basic white. Just like that. And then we're going to take this layer and we're going to add it to our card base. Couldn't be easier, right? Make sure I'm on screen. I've been floating off lately. All right. So there's our card base. The DSP. Hey, Anita. It usually does, Elizabeth. This is the Zoo Crew DSP. This one here. The front pieces are colored with the little animals, and the back of the designer series paper is all black and white. I was hoping I'd find some black and white. I didn't get my second order yet, and for my DSP and ribbon share, that should be on its way. Okay, so then I took the Countryside Corners, and this is the die that is 4 inches long, and I cut it from the basic black, and then I cut the 3.5-inch one in the basic white. And we're gonna pop this one up, and this one we're gonna adhere. But before we adhere it, let me just grab a piece of foam and some scrap paper, and we're going to stamp the sentiment, and it's "Your friendship means everything." I just want to get that on there straight. Luckily it is a photopolymer stamp, so I can see through it. Hopefully we'll get this on here straight, and I'm just going to line this up right at the top. And I think that looks good. Hey, Kathy. 70s. Oh my goodness. We're in a we're having a cold spell right now. The middle of the country is warm, and the east and west coast are cool, and we're in that cool right now. All right, so I am just going to layer this with some adhesive, and we're going to center this right on this black frame. I'm just going to scoot it up just a hair. Make sure it's on there straight. All right. Okay, so we have our sentiment. Yeah, the paper's pretty, right? Then what I did is, in the Cheerful Daisies, I'm going to pull it out so I can show you. There's one die that has 3 flowers and the leaves connected. And I'm not using that one. For shame on me. Okay, so let's back up. What an idiot. So what I did was I took the largest stamp, daisy stamp, and we're going to just use some Memento. And let's ink this up. I'm going to just show you. There is the daisy, and that's the large one. And then here's the smaller one. Just very pretty. And they do have coordinating dies. You might find it a little frustrating to die cut it, but if you'll notice that there's one side where the petals are smaller and one side where the petals are larger. And if you just pull that around, it fits perfectly on that daisy. I'm telling you, do. And I actually stamped and die cut 1 large and 2 smaller little daisies. I'm actually going to pull my scrap back in and our flowers. There is a die for the center of the larger daisy, okay? And you can finagle it around to see where it fits the best. I don't think there's any, okay, so to fit it in. And then we have a centerpiece and another centerpiece. And what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my Versamark. I'm actually going to grab my little holder. I'm going to put this aside for a second. And I'm going to stamp these centers with Versamark. I'm just going to close this up a second. And I'm going to grab my gold. Let's grab a little spoon here. I'm just going to put some right in the center. Now, if you stamp, you want to make sure that your memento is nice and dry so your embossing powder does not stick to it. So there's the two little flowers. Then I'm going to take the large gold center and the matching stamp to that center. And I'm also going to flip this around so I get it the right way. I'm going to very carefully stamp it with some Versamark. And it's stuck really good. And I'm going to grab some embossing powder and add it right to the top. Now when you stamp it, you want to be careful because on the gold foil, the stamp seems to float when you're pushing down. So you want to just be careful that you don't smear it. So I'm just going to turn on my heat gun a second. No. They could always be black-eyed Susans, right? And we're just going to emboss this centerpiece. So there's one. I'm going to grab this one. And that's two. And this one I have to be careful. All right. So the gold embossing on the gold foil, you'll see it just gives it a nice texture for the inside of that flower. I'm just going to let that cool off a second. Let's clean up this. I can get rid of this for a second. And we can pull our card back in. Oops, all my dies just fell out. So today I was working on it, and I had used this little block with this stamp on. So when I took the picture, well, I did it the other day, when I took the picture of my craft box, I actually used this little block to hold this box up, just like that, so you could see the top of the box. Left the cards and everything in my photo box. Came in here today to start working on today's cards. Went to look for that stamp and could not find it. I ripped my garbage apart. I pulled everything off the floor. I cleaned off my desk. Couldn't find it. So I figured, you know what? We'll just do without. And I'll show you, because I couldn't find it. You'll notice that I used the small center instead of the large center to emboss it. And I was like, well, it'll show up one of these days. I got all done, and it dawned on me where that stupid stamp was. But at least I found it. All right, so I just popped up that frame onto the front of my card. Now we're going to play with our daisies. Okay, we're going to start with the big one, and I'm going to also pop this one up onto the front of the card. And I'm going to keep my dimensionals close to the center because I want to pop some of the leaves underneath. And I want it facing this way. So we're just going to, let's do it right about here. All right, so now our daisy is popped up. And I also want to pop up that centerpiece. So I am going to add a dimensional to the center. And I'm going to grab this piece and I'm actually going to put it on this way. All right, so there's the center of our daisy. For the other two daisies, I am going to fix them so the smaller petals are towards the top. And I'm just going to add some glue. I'm going to stick that one right about there. Same thing with this. I'm going to keep my smaller petals to one side. So I'm just going to add some glue here. And we're going to just pop it on right like that. Now, if you wanted to add dimensionals, you can. To keep it a little lighter, I'm going to do without. So I'm going to grab that die that I started with. It's all connected. What I did was I laid and let me get a piece of black paper. I laid the leaves onto the paper and just die cut it just so I had the leaves. And this is what comes out of it, okay? Because I only wanted the leaves. So I'm just going to pop out these centers. Just like that. And grab my scissors. And I just want to cut off that end piece because this is all I want. There is an additional die if it didn't fall out. If you can see, just little like twigs. And I die cut that out of some gold foil. Okay, so I'm going to take this one and I am just going to add a little bit of glue right at the end. And this is why I wanted the dimensionals towards the center. I just want to tuck this under. I don't want to cover my letters, so I just move it over and add that right there to the card. I did cut out an additional one. So now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to add some glue again just to the bottom. And I'm going to put it right on top of that gold. Just tucking it in and letting that dry. And then I have one additional leaf. And I'm actually going to just tuck in right there. Now I'm not sure. I didn't even check if it was in. I don't think the gingham. Let's just take a quick look. Aw, thanks, Kathy. I'm just pulling out the catalog really quick. Just want to see. I think I just passed it. I don't think it's in here. It is. The black and white gingham ribbon is in the catalog. Wow. That's a first for me. Usually I pick a ribbon and it's not available anymore, but this is, which is perfect. So we're just going to tie a quick bow. So, thank you. Yeah, this is a pretty little set. I like it. Has anybody in here in the room tonight ever experienced gout before? I haven't, but I have so much pain in the joint of my big toe that I'm thinking, gosh, I can't get this to come through. I'm thinking it's gout. There we go. My fingers are just not working. All right, so I'm just making a little bow. Make sure my loops are about the same size. Let's trim these tails. Oops. And we're just going to grab a glue dot. And I'm going to put it right down here below that large daisy. And add our bow. And then I know, I'm almost positive basic pearls are no longer available, but I have a lot of them, so you may be seeing them. It's just, I don't think these are available anymore. I think the iridescent pearls are, and we're just going to add a couple to the front. Let's add one down here. There's no spot to the right, so we'll just add it there. And that is the front of our first card. It's not, it could be arthritis. I think that's how gout starts. It's not really swollen, but oh my God, it hurts so bad and it's red. So there is the front. Now for the inside, I just kept it very simple. So let me just grab, okay, I don't have the paper for the inside. Give me 1 second. How did I forget the center of this card? Crazy. 1 second, guys. I thought I was ready. Guess not, huh? It actually just started today, this afternoon. So I've been, I know it's a high acid that causes it, and you're supposed to use or drink apple cider vinegar. So guess what I'm drinking? Apple cider vinegar and water. All right. So I have a basic black 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 and a basic white 5 1/4 by 4. That's true, huh? All right, so I'm going to take my memento and I'm going to start with the stem. And you'll notice on the stem, I don't know if you can see it, but this little piece right here looks like a little knob. That's where we can attach or stamp the leaf. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this up and we're going to add it right here to the corner. All right, and I know I'm sideways, but I can see it a lot easier this way. Then I'm going to take my daisy, the smaller one, and I am going to add this daisy right to the top of that stem. And I could have probably moved it up just a little bit. And then I'm going to take the leaf. Where are you, little leaf? That's the center. Here it is. I'm going to take the leaf and ink it up. And I'm going to try to line it up right on that piece of the stem. Just like that. I'm going to grab my Versamark, the small center of the flower, and stamp it. Let's grab that gold embossing powder. Oops. Just going to get this one little piece. And then we're just going to heat this up. Happy Thursday, Tracy. There we go. Let's try not to let it warp too much. All right, let's look what I just found. Story of my day today. All right, so let's close this up. I hate when the paper warps because it doesn't lay right. So we're going to grab our basic black. Let's add our seal. I'm going to put an extra line on here to make sure this holds pretty good. And we're going to lay this on this mat. And we can grab our card. And adhere it to the inside. All right. So there is card number 1. Thanks, Karen. Just quick and easy, pretty little card. Now we're going to jump to the second card, which is right here. I'm just going to grab my papers. Hopefully nothing disappeared on me. Make some room here for a second. And I have a piece of cardstock that is 8.5 by 4 1/4. And I'm just going to grab my trimmer and we're going to score it at 5.5. So it's 8.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. So we're going to fold it on that score line, just like that. And you have your basic card base, 5.5 by 4 1/4. All right. So we're going to start first with the inside, and we're going to lay in 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 basic black. So let's put that in. And we want to try to get this in here as even as possible. So let's lay this in, making sure that it is pretty even on all sides. Then I took a piece of basic white, 5 1/4 by 4, and I embossed it with the time-worn type. this is in the new catalog. So we're going to adhere this right to the inside of the card. And again, you want to try to make it so it is pretty straight. All right, so there is the inside. Now let's go and jump to this piece right here. I'm going to layer it with my basic black layer, just like we did to the inside. And this measures 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. And we are going to adhere this to this little flap. And when I lay it down, I want to pretty much get this laid down. And you really can't see it, but you want to make it so it's pretty even with the basic black that you laid on the inside of the card. All right. And then we're going to take the DSP that we used on the other card, and this is 4 by 2 3/4. And we're going to lay this right down on the basic black. And again, when you lay this down, you want it to be even, but you really want it to be pretty straight with your basic white, okay? So there we have our front flap and our inside. So let's just put that aside for a second. I am going to jump back to this die. I die cut this in basic black. All right, let me just grab, I didn't even take the little piece. You could leave them in if you wanted. I'm taking them out. So we're going to take out all these little pieces. Here's one here, and I'll show you why in 1 second. So just bear with me. I should have done this ahead of time. I guess I could make it even quicker. Where is that little piece? Hold on 1 second. There we go. That was quicker. All right, so I took out all those little dots. I also want to take out the center of these leaves. All right, so there is the piece in basic black. Then what I did is I took the leaves and I again, and I hope I have them all here, laid it on a piece of gold just so I could get the leaves. All right, so we have some gold. And the reason I did that is for the inside of the leaf. I don't want the outside, I want the inside. And you'll notice which one goes where. And I just want to fit that gold back into the leaf. I'm going to do it again on the other side because I wanted a little bit of gold like I had, since I had gold on the other card, I wanted a little bit of gold on this card. So we're just going to put this, line it up, fit it inside. Let's just smooth that over a little. All right. So now there's a little bit of gold on the leaves. So it doesn't come out, there is another leaf die in this set. And I cut out 2 plain leaves in the basic black. And I just want to hold that gold in place. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. I'm on camera, and I'm just going to try to line it up the best I can and glue that down. And I'm going to add some glue to the other one. And like I said, the only reason I'm doing that to the leaves is to hold that gold inside on the veins. Now this set also comes with a top layer for the flowers, and I did them in white. So I'm going to take the largest one first, and we're just going to add some glue. And we don't want to put too much so it oozes out, but you do want it to stick to your flower. So when you look at it, here are the short petals. So we have to turn this around, and you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 petals. We're just going to use that as our place to line them up. And you can shift it if you need be. And there's our first flower. Then we'll jump up here to this one with the petals down. Again, I don't want to put too much glue. We're going to lay this down on that flower. And then we have one more. Thank goodness I'm not all thumbs tonight, holding these little pieces. And again, we're going to look to see, here's the double petal, and here's the double petal here. So that's where you would line it up and lay it down. So here are the flowers and the leaf for the front of our card. Okay? So we're just going to put that aside for a second. Now I'm going to take a piece of basic black, and I don't even know what size it is. It's about 5.5 by 4.5, and it doesn't have to be this big. And I'm just going to hit it with my embossing buddy. And I know it's no longer around, but I'm using my Stamparatus, and I'm going to lay this right here in the corner. This is the easiest way where this stamp is so big. I do have the big block, but this was so much easier. So I'm going to grab my Versamark, and I really want to focus on the outside. I don't really need the centers, so we're just going to focus on the outside of this stamp. Okay? And we're going to close it up and give it a good push. Get that stamped. Actually going to hit it again at this top piece. This is what makes the Stamparatus perfect. If you need more ink, you can do it and not mess up. All right, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take this piece out. We'll get rid of the Stamparatus. I'm just going to grab my scrap piece of paper again, and I am going to grab my white embossing powder. And again, I don't really have to worry about the whole piece. I just have to worry about these outside dots. Okay, so when you open this up, here's the outside, and then I need this one too. So let's pull this up and see what we got. I'm going to just hit it right here again. And right here. I don't have to worry about these center ones. And that looks pretty good. Okay, I don't have to worry about those center. These center ones I don't need. I need this one and this one. So I'm just going to heat up my gun. And while that's heating, let me just put this back as I burn my sweater. All right. So we're just going to heat this up. All right. So now that we have those outside layers embossed, let me grab my countryside dies. I do have to die cut it. I'm sorry. And I am going to grab, I think it's this one. Yep. I'm going to grab this one. And I need to line it up inside those dots and check to make sure. And I'm going to stand to look. Make sure it's in there pretty even. And I'm just going to grab a piece of washi tape just to hold that in place. Then I'm going to take the next one down and I'm going to line it up inside. Let me grab another piece of washi tape here. Inside the line of 3. And if you hold this down on the paper, you'll feel the embossing. So you just want to make sure you have it in there and it's lined up fairly well. I'm just going to scoot it over a little. And I'm just going to, hopefully this will work. I'm just going to add another piece of washi tape and give me 1 second to run this through. Okay. So, what I actually did was created a frame. Okay. I used the time-worn type. And it's in the new catalog. And then I cut it so I have this piece here. Okay. These are the 2 pieces I need. I don't care about this embossing on the inside. Let's just put those aside for a second. And then I also cut out using the same large die, this one here, a basic white piece. And then I took the smaller, the next size down. So here's the one I used. This is the one size smaller to cut out an additional basic white piece. Okay? So let's start with the larger of the basic white. Grab our frame, and we are just going to add some glue around the outside of this frame. And we're going to lay it down right on this basic white. Make sure it is right to the edges. It's laid on there really nice. All right, just like that. So there's that frame for the inside. This one, let's grab that. Where's that little piece? There it is. Just going to grab that foam, an additional scrap piece of paper, and we are going to stamp "Wishing you the brightest birthday." And again, thankfully, we can see through this stamp. I'm just going to grab my memento. Let's ink this up really good. And I'm going to put it a little bit more towards the right than the left. And we're just going to make sure we get this on here straight. Close that up. All right. Now we can pull in this piece. And I am going to very gently, I don't want a lot, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this back. And we're going to line it up right inside that embossing. So we're just going to have to shift it a little bit. I'm going to lift it up because we want it in there pretty straight. All right. So there's that piece. So now we have our two frames, our card base, and our flowers. So what we want to do first is grab the piece that's going to be on the inside of the card, and I'm going to keep my glue right where the framing is. Open our card, and we want to pretty well center it on the card. Make sure it's on there and it's centered. Might scoot it down just a hair. All right. So there is the inside of your card. Now we're going to close our flap, grab our other piece. Now this piece, you'll notice, will fit right inside that frame. That's why you really want to make sure this is in there straight. We only want to add glue to 1/2 so it doesn't close up the card. So you can use that as a guide. Look at it, make sure it's on there straight, and it does look pretty good. All right, so now you just have that framing around, and then you have your white inside. Yes, time-worn type, correct. All right, then we're going to grab our flowers. Now there isn't much space when it comes to putting our dimensionals on. So if I can find my mini dimensionals here, they're all large. Here we go, here's one. We're just going to take some mini dimensionals, and I'll put one on this leaf. And we're just going to add some dimensionals around this flower. maybe we'll put one right over here. All right. Let's remove these papers. I want to be careful not to rip it. All right, let's pull our card back in. And we want this right on this side of the card. You want to make sure you don't interfere with your sentiment. And you want to make sure it's on this little piece. So let's put it, I'm going to just pull it up a second. I'm going to pull it down just a hair because I want it to be centered. So let's, all right, there we go. So we just added that right to the side of the card. All right, and you can still see wishing. Let's grab our pearls. And you can notice the gold, okay? Just a little touch of gold. And I'm just going to add a pearl here and one here and one up there between the flowers. Let's grab some ribbon. So this card, you work on the inside and the outside all at the same time. You want that inside to lay down evenly, so when you lay that one on the top, it fits together. All right, so we got a nice bow here. If I can get it off my finger. Let's cut these tails. And we'll grab a glue dot, which disappeared, of course. It's amazing how things just disappear on this desk. I don't know how it happens. It's probably right here in front of me. And I have no idea where it goes. I should start putting it away. I'm just going to grab one of these large ones I have, because I have no idea where it went. And we're actually going to add it right here. And I'm going to switch it up a little. I'm going to put it right here. They're sticky tonight. I'm going to just add it just like that. So here is our finished card. And here is the other one. So I hope. Thanks, Casey. So I hope you like tonight's cards. If you would like the make and takes for these, just place a $40 order. Any other orders that I get that are under 40, I will send you my swag bag. I'm back to sending swag bags. So everybody have a great rest of your night. I will talk to everybody. Today is Thursday. I'll talk to everybody on Sunday. And I will have a PDF for you tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, Kathleen. Thanks, Elizabeth. You're welcome, Karen. Thanks, Stu. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Yeah, I know you do, Karen. Thanks.